adventures and new monsters.
All right, we're back. Gen Con, day 3. Sitting down with the man himself, Doug Hopkins. And Doug, I got a lot of tough questions for you, but some fair questions, I hope. And we had kind of a pre-interview, and he shared with us the fact that there's more that he wants to talk about. We are not talking to Chris Nato today. We're talking to Doug Hopkins. They're different people, despite what others may think. He has his own things to share.
We have been confused as the same person. I will say.
Apparently, yes.
Allegedly, Chris Nato.
Yes. All right. So, why don't you just, to start off, tell us what your official title or role is at Hasbro Avalon Hill.
Hail, heroes. I'm Doug Hopkins, and I'm a game designer for Avalon Hill, which is part of Hasbro.
Excellent. All right, well, let's get right into the questions. A lot of HeroQuest fans are asking a lot of things, and I think one of the questions, I'm just going to start out just generally speaking, why is it that you can't tell us about projects that haven't been approved or completed yet?
Well, I think part of having a product is building anticipation and the surprise of the announcement of what's to come, right? So we can break that news strategically and in format so that multiple people can get it simultaneously rather than leaving some places out.
That makes me think of another question that's not on here, which is about leaks. I suppose there's a difference between something that you purposely put out there to build anticipation versus something that wasn't supposed to be revealed. What do you do? Well, I suppose you can't really tell us what's a leak and what isn't.
I mean, Hasbro doesn't really comment on leaks, so I would think you should really trust anything said by not official source.
It's just a rumor until it's confirmed.
It's a rumor until it's not. Yep.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Very good. And we have many questions, so that actually eliminates a lot of questions that we had here about Crypt of Perpetual Darkness, Wizards of Morcar, Japanese HeroQuest, things that I think people want. And what would you tell those people? Would you tell them to just not care about that, or do you guys want to hear about this? Are you tired of hearing about it?
No, not tired at all. We care if you care, and we listen. I think we've got a great track record of listening to you.
I feel like you do listen.
Thank you. Keep telling us what you want. You might not always get what you want, but we do try to work your desires into our products for sure.
Very good. And I think some of these questions, we had a great interview with Patrick earlier, and he helped me understand a lot of the marketing stuff, which was great, just like last year. And I think there's definitely something you have to say about that.
Well, I mean, with any wizard, there's a good wizard and an evil wizard. So, just I'm not saying Patrick's the evil wizard, but I'm not saying that he's the evil wizard. So.
Very good, very good. Okay, a lot of these questions were answered already by the reveals at Gen Con here about the dice and the new expansions, new content. What about these Ogre Horde ranged goblins? Why were they called archers? Was that because of the original, or what was the deal there? Because you're a design guy, so these are the kinds of things that matter to you, and I suppose no decision is made just for no reason, right?
For sure, because of that general term that you could always kind of sub in something and have it be an archer, which, kind of signifies a ranged attacker. But you're right. Usually people kind of associate archery with bows. That's fair. It is. That's totally fair. That is the case. But I wanted a term that seemed a little bit more flavorful than ranged. I don't want to say ranged goblins or ranged skeletons. But yet, when I'm thinking about the model of HeroQuest, I hear people often say they want their HeroQuest models to be HeroQuest models, right? So I don't want to provide a model that you can just go buy off the shelf.
Even though people do that, I get what you're saying.
Of course, yeah, but they do it, and I see it all the time. So I'm like, what's gonna make a Hero Quest model? And I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if these goblins had a boomerang? Like it seems very kind of like tricksy, you know? So like, I wanted them to have something that looked like it could inflict damage at range, but not be just everything has bows. Because we gave bows to the skeletons, we gave bows to the orcs.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your longbow, your crossbow, your short bow, but then what else? Sling? I don't know.
Yeah, and then we're just lumped into bows forever. So I try to think about like what kind of tech level that creature has. So if you notice our orcs they've got a high tech level, right? They've got plate mail armor. They've got like high armor and spikes on it. Zargon has outfitted those orcs well. But goblins have more makeshift things. So I'm like, oh, what would be fun kind of like things that they might make, you know, like they might construct. And I like, it kind of be fun to do little like, you know, Molotov cocktails or something like that, you know, little grenades or, you know, potions on fire, alchemist fire. And how about a boomerang, you know, like it just felt more in line with that model.
Well, when you say that, I know we've got many other questions to get through in little time, but I think the designs were more appealing than the archers. Like, because that, when I see a goblin with a grenade, that suggests to me, oh, it should have some type of area of effect, or, you know, I don't know, it's effective at, so it encourages me to be creative rather than just accept what's on the page and say, well, yeah, it's just a goblin, but he attacks at a distance.
This is exactly what as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to add necessarily, because that was like an easy rule to add. If Zargon needs to be a little bit more challenging, swap out and make it, you know, make it a ranged creature. I didn't want to have to also add, you know, new powers onto that too. When I saw people who said, oh, they should have had an explosive attack, so I'm just gonna make it.
The boomerang comes back.
Or the boomerang comes back, and maybe you can like toss it through someone and bring it back. I'm like, that's great. You did it. You know, that's what the spirit of HeroQuest is, sandbox. So we gave you the thing that's great for most people who just need something quick, and you used your creativity to make it something greater. That's what the fans have been doing for 30 years.
And I feel like, I said this before the interview, that I hear a continuity with what Chris and Tess were saying last year. The same way is you want us to expand. You don't just want to, we just read it off the page, and I mean, for some people that's enough.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it's like, I can go the next step.
Yes.
I see where this is going. I can take it further.
Yeah, that's what makes HeroQuest great. Like it's a simple rule set. It's very accessible, but oh, you can just pour your heart into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So moving on. A lot of these are answered. We have different colored dice. Well, would you ever consider doing like an omnibus style, like all the quest packs in one bound book, like call it Lore Tome or something? Fans have done that. Do you think there's any need for doing something like that, organizational wise?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that on social. I definitely think that's an interesting idea, but we're a small team. So if we do that, that would be the product we would put out for that, you know, season, because it would require a lot of work. We would have to go, you know, tinkering with it to make sure that it was something that everyone wanted. So I have to ask myself, is that better than a new expansion? And I don't have the answer. That's why you all have to let us know what you want on social. When you say what you want, we listen and we can point to it, and that's what we call insights, right? So when we make decisions on what we're going to put out, we base them on insights. So keep telling us what you want.
So it's better to say, I want this, than when is X coming out? Because the answer is, well, I don't know, unless we think there's a demand and it's something we can do.
That's pretty fair.
All right, great. And we had a question earlier. We were talking about the fact that on the Avalon Hill Discord, you answer a lot of questions, but you answer rule questions.
Yes.
The other questions you pass on. So do you ever feel like when the fans do something, like the fans answer the question for you, you don't have to say anything? Or do you feel like you need to like get in there and say, no, that's your way of doing it, but we have our intended way that we want you to do it? Is there a conflict?
So, I mean, we have so many knowledgeable fans that chime in and give the correct answer. A lot of times, yeah, I won't pipe in because like you don't even need an official answer on every rules question.
I agree, actually, but
Yeah.
a lot of people wonder.
I know, but that again, it comes to our time. So if we're there answering every rules question, then we're not doing something else. So when I see someone else who really articulately, I butchered that word, but you know what I meant, answered the question, that's great.
I think recently you did that with one of my questions. Somebody else answered it, you were just like, yep, he got it.
Yes, that's exactly right. Sometimes I'll chime in and say they got it, but like I don't want to like make that a precedent over that I'm going to do that every time, right?
Yeah.
Like some people really express our vision just so succinctly. What I like to do is if I missed something or if I see something being misinterpreted by a lot of people, then I'll chime in and say, okay, maybe we could have been better at writing the rules, so I'm gonna jump in here and clarify.
Like the Bard's bonus armor or the some of the things with the monk. Like, I feel like for me, it's like, who am I to tell Doug that he's wrong about his own idea? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I think the way I see it, and a lot of people see it, is, well, did you mean to say this?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to change it to whatever I want anyway.
You are.
But I want to know what you intended so I know what I'm changing if I'm going to change it. Or maybe it's great as it is.
Yeah, and then sometimes like a personality will leap to a conclusion, and then that conclusion will become popular. But even then, I still think the wisdom of our community kind of brings them back to reality. And again, if they didn't, maybe that I would look at our design and say, ooh, we could have written that better. Let me clarify. But sometimes, on the other hand, people jump to conclusions because they would prefer it one way.
That is very true. And I always come back to this. I know it's not about me, but I yelled at Bill about courage, and he didn't deserve it, and I apologized to him in person. But I see that is now clarified in First Light. So, I mean, I can fully accept that is how you guys want courage to be used. It's one attack, and if the line of sight is broken, it's nerfed. But if I want to play it the way it was in second edition, I'm going to do that. And that's okay. But when I'm at your table, I'm going to do it the way you say that you intend.
Yeah, we talk about we don't release things and tell you all to make up the rules for them. We want to give you the rules for it, right? No one wants me to write no rules and then tell
this
you
is
to
a Calvin
do it.
Ball, if you get that reference.
Oh no, I don't. But
Calvin and Hobbes, he's a little
Calvin
kid.
Ball, yeah.
He changes the rules so that he always wins.
Right. We want to give you the rules that we think they should be.
Yeah,
but,
it's a coherent system.
But yeah, you're the game master and are empowered to do whatever you want. And you know what? Play however you want. However your group wants to play. Every game has a social contract. And
I like that. Yeah.
And I like to kill the wizard. And everyone playing with me knows it and works as a group to protect that wizard. Or if someone's low on life, you know what I mean? Like
that knowledge would have really helped a few days ago.
I did really try to kill Kurgan in the game.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
We had a great time playing. This guy was having a ball. He was running around back and forth. He was doing victory laps. It was wonderful to see.
Yeah, other than writing HeroQuest rules, I also roll black shields on defense all the time.
Yeah. Is you put your thumb a certain way? No, just kidding.
Yeah, you can roll it if you just kind of like give it a little twist as you roll it every time black shield.
I hate dice towers, but I can see why people use them. Great.
What are we talking about next?
Okay. So we got a lot of things crossed out here. So we had this Black Friday armory that was posted on the Avalon Hill Discord. It had discount prices. but then the helmet actually went up in price. This is like an Easter egg, or what was going on with that? 'Cause we didn't get an armory board in the game. We have the equipment deck, and it was kind of a throwback to the old armory.
Maybe that helmet was one of those rare wooden, non-metal helmets.
Ah,
Immune to the rust spell.
very nice.
I would say
very nice.
that we do everything as a team. So we did that as a team, but also sometimes we make mistakes as a team. Sometimes, however, those mistakes are just genius. Wooden helmets. You heard it here.
Well, you know, a great painter once said, "They're only happy accidents, not mistakes." Okay, well, we have the situation. I think you've heard by now. Some fans in Spain have complained that the expansions available in Spanish, like they sell out and they don't get replenished. And we've been told through their customer service that it's because Hasbro Spain is independent. I suppose this is a marketing thing, and you can't really answer.
I can't, I'm a designer, so like, if you have questions about the design of the game, sometimes the models or the art, I might be able to answer the story, but that is clearly in the realm of one of my many team members. And again, the game is a team game, except for Sargent. But also
Team of Monsters.
making the game is a team game. So I'm just a lowly explorer here.
Sure, and we don't blame you for this, not at all. And I think when I've talked with Patrick about this, it's like it's one of those things that they're working on, but it just until it happens, or who knows.
Yeah, when I get the opportunity to bother Patrick, I bother him about things that I need are important to the development of the game. That's not something that has entered my purview at all.
Tell us about the companion app. I know we complain about it endlessly, but it does serve an important function. There's a lot of people who don't have a group to play with, or they just want to test things out. I was thinking, it collects anonymous statistics, and if you look at my statistics, you're going to be like, what the heck is he doing? Why is he sending 12 skeletons into a room with the bone wand? That makes no sense. So, some people are afraid that it's going to go away in 2026, and we just won't be able to play it, and then why does it take so long for certain things to get added to the app? Is that just because there's only a few people working on it? Is it a small team again?
Yeah, we're small teams. The app takes a great deal of work.
I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that to my knowledge, it's not going anywhere. So maybe they're prioritizing getting games into the app instead of updating the legal information. I don't have an answer. I will say that I love the app. I love the team who works on the app. They do so much to help us because they get our quests and they have to program them. And a lot of times they highlight things that are potential issues that we can fix before it makes it to retail. They also do a lot of their own special art by themselves. And
yeah, that art is pretty cool.
Yeah, so props to that app team. Again, to my knowledge, it's not going anywhere, and I hope it never does.
One of the things that I commented on with the app over the years is the fact that Zargon isn't evil enough, like he doesn't have enough nasty things to do to the heroes, and you guys did add the attack weak and the double wandering monsters and all that crazy stuff. I think there's definitely people that want more of that. Should we ask for it?
Yeah, ask for it. I'm sure they would love to do more, but they have a lot on their plate, don't they?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great amount of work, so we'll have to see what the future brings for that.
And I would say I'm beginning to see now that I've seen more of the app, because at first I was like, why do I even need this? I play with people, but I'm beginning to see every new quest pack has new rules, new optional rules, and the app has to interpret that somehow. So they have to program that all, I assume, from scratch.
That's right.
All right. Okay, tell us about this Against the Ogre Horde tournament rules. I think I don't know if you ever look at LaGuardia de Morcar. It's a Spanish channel.
Oh yeah.
Cristobal referred to it as Kill Team HeroQuest Edition, this tournament. So are we going to have officially sanctioned HeroQuest tournaments? What's going on with that?
I'm so glad you asked. I will say I have to lead with I have no knowledge of any officially sanctioned HeroQuest tournaments. If that's in the works, we haven't announced it yet.
Underground, unsanctioned tournaments.
I will say though that I'm really glad you asked that question because that was a really big source of pride for me. We added that with you all in mind. We thought, let's give them something that they can create content with. And I have seen people creating content with that. And that really warms my heart. I'm like, yes, they're getting it. They're seeing that we're giving them things. I see the tournaments that people are running on some social media outlets. When I went to Italy, I saw the fan group there running their own tournaments, and I'll just point out they didn't run the tournaments how I wrote them. I wrote them so that they would be fair for the heroes and the heroes would win, right? Hopefully by the skin of their teeth. But they rewrote them to be more fun in a tournament environment. And again, that's just the strength of HeroQuest. Make it what you need. And I loved seeing them execute that in a con environment. We put things in our expansions for you. Another good call out is Jungles of Delphrag. That choose your own adventure system was for you so that you could talk about the choices you made and why you made them. What ending did you get? Why did you make those choices? Why did you go left instead of right? I want you to talk about those things and share your stories with your fellow HeroQuest fans. And now you have this like new way that you can sandbox. Maybe it inspires you to do your own choose your own adventure quests and talk about those.
I guess I don't do enough of that. I mean, when I do a game, we record our sessions. And so I think, well, it speaks for itself. But who's going to watch the 3-hour game? So sometimes, like one of our players, Jacer, like he will say, oh, the brave dwarf did this, but he was unable to. And so someone might hear that and go, oh, I want to see how that is. And I know that it's maybe not as exciting as maybe some other people have done, but I have used the arena rules. So we started playing Crypt of Perpetual Darkness, and it started in a tavern, so we decided to make it a tavern brawl, where the town guard, loyal to Zargon, comes in and starts attacking the heroes, and so they have to fight this huge mob of mercenaries. So, and it was tricky. It was hard for me to keep track of, like, because it was a different way of playing.
Yeah.
Keep track of, okay, have I activated this guy? Well, I got to make sure the token is somehow balanced in the right place. But I think we had fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was something new.
I mean, again, you raise a good point about tavern. Like, there's another piece that I keep seeing people. Oh, we put the tavern off to the side, and that's where our heroes are between quests, right? I see people using the tavern like that, and I love it. And that was an inspiration behind Rise of the Dreadmoon that we put the hideout in.
I like the hideouts.
Yeah, and you see that we put like little things, for the heroes on the floor in the hideout. Because I'm like, maybe they'll use hideouts in their game. When I see you using things creatively, it inspires me to give you more things like that. And again, I'll jump into another example from Jungle. I see you painting that little picture above the fireplace and above the Mage of the Mirror fireplace, putting your own craft into it.
Oh, and the treasure pile. And you were pointing that out to me earlier.
Right.
The blank frame.
Yeah, the blank frame is there so so that you can add your special touch to it. What's in your jungle? I want to see it. When I go on social and I see you posting your little touches to our miniatures, I'm like, I need to do more of that for our fans because they like it, and that gives you something really interesting to share.
Oh yeah. Do people send you stuff that they made? Oh, I suppose. Well, what do you do when some fan says, "Hey, I created this cool like mod. Let me show it to you."
Yeah, I try not to look at homebrew stuff because then people think that I borrow their ideas. So when you talk to me, don't tell me how to do things. Tell me what you like, and then I'll figure out how to do it. So yeah, I try to keep, I don't want to poison my well over here or make anyone feel like I'm borrowing from them.
Or stealing. You stole my idea.
Dang it, you knew.
Well, so do you ever hold off on doing something officially because you see the fans have already done it? Or does that make you more want to create your own version of that?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone was saying that they liked a theme, then I would call that an insight and say like, ooh, I should do it officially.
Like, we really want to put alchemy in the game.
A lot of people seem to like the alchemy.
I love it.
I actually love the alchemy bag. So it never really like registered with me that equipment, like, you know, things might have an equipment bag can be a potion. So I just put things that you can consume on the alchemy bag. You can expect that in the future.
Ah, very nice, very nice. I think people were asking about, standalone stuff, but I suppose that falls into the category of things that aren't announced yet. Keep asking for it, and if there's a way, you guys will do it with your limited resources.
Yeah, just a reminder, we have limited time. So things that you ask for, you have to ask yourself, would most people want that more than more expansions?
Yeah. I seem to remember, this was some time ago, Chris answering a question. People were saying, well, I want more elf-themed dice. And he said, well, would you rather have that or would you rather have more figures?
Yeah.
What are we going to spend our time on?
Yeah.
And that answer made sense. But then I also see down the line, we eventually did get other dice.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just takes more time. Like, okay, we'll make it up to you in the Guardian Knight. We got it.
Yeah, or what's right, like I really wanted to put a board in the jungle expansion. I know people wanted a jungle board.
A themed board, yeah.
Yeah, but for the price point of a jungle, I would eat up my budget for other cool stuff. So I was like, I could put bigger jungle tiles, but then keep lots of models, right? So that had to be a choice that, like, what I thought like most people would want in their expansion. And now that you've seen First Light, you can see that we've got a new board in there because we don't have all the models. So I had room to do that. So with keeping the price points down, I have to be...
Which we appreciate.
I have to be, a little selective about what I choose to put in. It's hard. Sometimes it doesn't make everyone happy. But I really like making the models, so I want to do a lot of those.
You were telling me earlier about the process that you go through. Do you have time to talk about that process, going from like, because I was looking at Nikki Dawes' website. Someone pointed this out to me and said, hey, she's still working on it, and look what it says here, commissioned by Doug Hopkins. I was like, oh, is that how it works? Like when you need a character, you have a person you go to?
Sometimes. So the answer is sometimes and not always. So without getting into like the structure of our team or how it works, I will say that I have a lot of input into the initial model designs because they have to match the design of the game design, right? When I see a model, it has to be like, ooh, that thing could spit poison at me, so we need to make it look like it spits poison.
And I suppose you have to be careful that you're not stepping on toes in like Wizards of the Coast or something that somebody else has already done, right? It's not too similar.
I don't spend a lot of time looking at all those other things. And again, I don't want to taint the process. Can't taint the well. So
it makes a certain amount of sense. Yeah. Okay. It was really great to see Stephen Baker and all his involvement. I think at the start, a lot of us thought, oh, they just brought him in as a one-off, just like they brought in Joe to get the D&D players to notice us, and they brought in Stephen to, say, hey. But the fact that he continued on and continued to have influence, even though he's a freelance vendor, I mean, he's not obligated to stick around and do stuff. We really appreciate the fact that he has been involved, but I suppose we don't know the future. We don't know if he's going to continue to be involved. Didn't he have something to do with First Light? Or
yeah, he wrote the quest for First Light. So, part of this is like, who's going to be authentic to that expansion? We got Levi for the jungle because he was doing a lot of jungle work. a lot of times we go to Steven because he just makes it feel so Hero Quest. So we will look at what we want to do with the story and the theme of an expansion and say who's the best person to do it. A lot of times it's Steven. It's not fan service for you. It's just that's what makes the most authentic product.
Yeah, and I suppose the rest of you can see the way he does it without saying, "Oh, I'm going to copy it." You're not a cover band. You're learning from each other. He's learning from you guys because we know a little bit about the history of Stephen Baker meeting with I think it was Mike Gray, like going over from the European to the North American version, and then Japan had their own people, and it's like every little version of HeroQuest has its own development. So you guys are putting your stamp on it. You're taking some things from the old world and bringing it into the new. So I think that's really great. And when I've heard from him, he seems very humble about, like, he's not like upset with you guys because you're changing things. Because if he was that way, he wouldn't have survived, because it's been that way all through the process. So I'm really appreciated. I really appreciate the fact that he contributed, and I hope that he does more. And I think a lot of people hope that he will come in, even though we're not expecting him to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, Steven he's so humble, he's so talented, he's so easy to work with. I love working with him, so like I want to use him for our game. It's for sure. It's like it's a no-brainer. But on the other hand, we also want to see some new ideas too. So I try to give you a mix.
Yeah. I mean, last year when I didn't know who Tess Hogan was. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that was me." I was like, "What? That was you?" "Oh, I'm looking at the person right here that's involved in Rise of the Dread Moon and all that." And then I asked her some question. Well, why did you do it like this? And she's like, "Well, actually, that was Doug." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So it's starting to dawn on me that yes, of course, this is a collaborative process. This is not like the auteur theory of filmmaking where it's like, George Lucas had this vision and he just influenced everything. It's like, no, there was editors, there's people that suggested things,
we've got
artists.
narrative designers that help us craft story. They can sometimes give us insights on how things could be better. Like, they're not just editors, they are involved throughout the whole process. We have engineers that help us make the best models and products. We've got, marketers and product managers and all that stuff. But like the core team working on it, we're a band of heroes, a small band of heroes, and we work very closely and often to deliver something we all believe in and love and play together at the office. And we hope that comes through in the product and you all love it too.
Do you ever have contact with people from the old teams back in the day, or people just kind of moved on?
I think we're at the point where we're up and running and doing our own thing, and we call people in when we need their expertise.
So the torch has been passed.
It's time to pass the torch.
All right, and we would love to hear about future releases, but I know that we covered that.
Was the torch thing about Zorzel or?
No,
I'm sorry.
No. Okay, people definitely want to see more of like the male and female heroes. I feel like we've been getting a lot of that, and that's great. I don't even care about this anymore, but the mobile app, I think, would it ever be ported to the PC, or is this always going to be an Android or Apple product?
Yeah. There has to be enough demand for it, right?
Okay.
So again, the app team is working on that. What are they not working on? We give them a lot to work on, so.
That is fair. I mean, I'm just thinking of logistically, sitting on a table, you've got a phone in your hand versus having it on the computer. Like, I play virtually with my people, so it works for me to have it on the computer.
Yeah.
There's emulators, it's not ideal, not sanctioned, Let's move on. Yeah.
I mean, I'll share that. I'll share that insight with them. I don't know if they can action on it, but again, we listen to you. Tell if that's the first time I've heard this one. So next time I see the team, I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, if this is just one person on YouTube or this is just me, well, you can ignore it. But if a lot of people want it, why not? Okay, so it's very possible to run out of character sheets. Would you ever do like kind of an a la carte menu where people can, yes, we now know people can order dice if they want extra dice. I think with character sheets you can print them out. But would you ever just like allow people to just get components? I think we have examples from the classic HeroQuest days of people writing letters to Milton Bradley saying, hey, I ran out of character sheets, and they just send them a pad.
Yeah, I love that.
For $2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, like, I'm just trying to think about like how the best way to approach that would be, what team, like what the logistics, like this needs someone, everything needs someone to own it, right? We don't have, with our team size, I don't think we've got enough to do everything everyone wants. So
you hear that, Hasbro? They need more resources. He didn't say that. I'm just noticing.
So there has to be a demand. There has to be forecasting. That seems like it's out of my realm. I mean, Lord Tome can't reveal everything to me.
Fair enough. Sometimes I forget that you are the design guy, not the everything guy. This world of HeroQuest, it was suggested in the Path of the Wandering Monk. We have the map, and I could imagine that was just to tease us and say, hey, there's a larger world, I wonder what it is, and then we just come up with our own. But what was the intention behind the little stops on the way that the Wandering Monk is going through the world?
Yeah.
I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
That map is the Wandering Monk marking their journey.
We will be doing Prime shortly.
I believe that on the techniques, that the map, those acts mark where they learned things for their skills, for their powers,
Okay.
for the techniques. So like it's just it is a little bit of a nugget of some expertise that might be in those areas. But yeah, to your point, it also is to like get you intrigued about the map area. That's like, we haven't released the full map. That's like a little hint at maybe a greater world.
So if we ask for it and want it, you might release more of that map.
I mean, it's not impossible.
Or you're gonna say, no, do it yourself.
No, I don't do it yourself. We'll do it eventually. I think
Okay.
it's good even for us to know where everything is. I mean, if we might even have our own map kind of in the works that we don't share, but maybe the world needs to see, our realm.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think there's some people who still would say, no. I've decided it's the Warhammer world from 1987, and it's going to say that world. I mean, that's okay, right? I mean, officially,
you
unofficially.
can always do whatever you want in your own home game. There's no HeroQuest police that's going to show up.
There might be a portal to the Forgotten Realms if you wanted to.
I mean, it is known that the Guardian Knights do show up at houses who violate the strict rules that we've set.
Oh man, I was going to be mean and saying, good thing they're out of stock. But that's not true anymore. That's not true anymore, because you can buy it with Rise of the Dread Moon, so sorry.
Another great example of us really
The
just
fun police are here.
trying to make sure that you have everything that you want to play your game.
I like that. You're giving us the tools. And what we do with them, hopefully it's right. So, this is not one I personally care about, but a lot of people ask it, so I'm obligated to ask you.
Yeah.
How about an updated official Quest Pack order?
Yeah, I see this a
First
lot.
Light. Where does First Light fit in?
This question, well, that's a great question. Where does First Light fit in? First Light occurs at the same time as Core. So the same exact time as the Core. So you won't ever go from the First Light quest book to the Core quest book or vice versa. They're happening at the same time. So when you travel through First Light, you're experiencing all these characters in the First Light quest book for the first time, like you may have experienced them in Core. So new players will experience those characters for the first time. existing players might have a little backstory and a little extra knowledge about repeating characters you might see there. But the intent from First Light is you go from First Light into the expansion.
So I'm not taking the same barbarian that went all the way to Mage of the Mirror and back to First Light. This
No.
is a new barbarian.
And that's a great tie into this question about quest pack order. Because if you require everyone or insinuate to everyone has to follow a quest pack order, you're really locking people out of something they might be interested in, or discouraging them from playing, say, jungles right off the bat. And if you look at what we've been doing with our most recent expansions of Ogre Horde and Jungles, the first quests are kind of like the old solo quests were to gear up one player. These new quests are to gear up multiple players. So when we're playtesting them, a lot of times we start fresh. Fresh new characters in all these expansions. Because that encourages someone who loves the jungle to pick up the jungle expansion, try it with their new heroes. And I understand that there's people who want to go through in a specific order.
Zargon really has to work on it because we have like people with closets full of potions. How do you ever make a dent in those people?
Exactly, right? So, right? So, yeah, so, like, I find that one tough to answer without telling people that they have to play the game a certain way. And I'm trying to make the game so that people can choose to play things that excite them at any time. So there are some resources that have listed out exactly the story order on how they suggest that things should be. That's great. I'm saying, and actually Kurgan, I think you specifically said, maybe they want us to start these quest packs with new heroes at one point. And I was like, he's got it. He said it. He said the thing. Is anyone listening to him here? Because I do, right? I know some people like solo quests, but I'm like, solo quests are for, 2 people to play. I want to give you something that you can play with everyone at your table and get you geared up and ready to face the threats and excitement of the thing that you want to play that just came out, maybe, without having to go backwards and,
Yeah, well, I, for one, have broken every single one of the solo quests by making them group quests. And that's no offense to the original designers. It's just that it wasn't working for us, so that's how we made it work.
I started to do that with Into the Northlands, too. I was like, I'm going to give that solo character an animal companion.
We had a great time with that. I think it was Dumai Montalto came in, and he happened to be the only one that showed up, and I was like, let's do the solo quest.
Yeah.
And it was great. And it was like, okay, whatever you find in this quest is going to go back to the group that's already in the middle of the, he ran up the mountain to give them the supplies or, whatever.
Yeah, I encourage you to play Hero Quest in fun and unique ways that add to the group's experience.
I think there's definitely a sense, though, that, yeah, if people are waiting too long, they're never going to get to the quest pack they want because they're going to get hung up on some other one that they didn't want to play. Or they're going to feel like, I'm so far behind, I can't just jump in the middle of the adventure. So I've done my part to try to break that. Like, I think it was my turn to play, and I just was like, okay, we'll just drop a rogue right in the middle of the campaign.
Well, I have to say that we played a little fun game today where I may have murdered a Hero Quest fan at the table, and I just let them pop in with a mercenary, right?
Yep.
I don't want anyone leaving the table. And we, right on the spot, we created a little homebrew rule. The mercenary, at the start of your turn, you're a mercenary who appears at the start door. Keep playing with us. Keep having fun.
I love that. And one last anecdote, because I know you got to go. We were playing one of these games, and I won't say the name of I will say it. Yeah, I think it was Kevin, one of the staffers who's running the game. And one of the people in the group was like, I gotta leave. I think it was, no, I'm probably getting it wrong. I'll edit that out. He said, one of the guys in the group was like, I gotta leave early. And it just so happened he was the first one to get killed. So it was like, there's different ways of like working that out. Yeah. It's like, but yeah, if it's like, I lost, I gotta sit this one out. But there's a way you can Zargon can keep it going.
Yeah, the first game we played and I tried to kill Kurgan, I did not succeed, but I did
get one of his friends. But at one point, I was like, I was going to take someone down, and I said, you know, maybe this was a little mean-spirited. So let's rewind it a little bit. I'll attack someone else. And I'm like, that kind of, I felt like that I reduced the stakes a little bit more. So now, taking you out and then having you come back as a mercenary or an animal companion, that seems a lot more like, you know, a little bit more exciting.
Well, sometimes you come back as a bard, but I was the bard, so. Well, any closing thoughts before we close the book on this one?
You know, always, I think you mentioned that, you know, I'm speaking diplomatically when I thank the fans, but really from my heart, like, I haven't been a lifetime game designer, and I was always very kind of like nervous about what feedback I might get, and I was always really concerned about whether people are going to like what I do. And I have to say that HeroQuest fans are the best fans. They have not let me down once, and you know, that is the best thing about HeroQuest.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.